talk.
Gus had been owned by a couple. They wanted him to be in a nativity scene in their church, but they didn't know what to do with an animal, a donkey. They didn't know how to train him. So he wouldn't get on the trailer to go to, the church parking lot or wherever this nativity scene was going to be. And so now they didn't want him anymore. So I was working at Skidmore with Barbara, who's a writer for the magazine that I put out, and we worked together a lot. And I was helping her with her horses because I had been riding for a long time. And she would tell me stories about Gus, this donkey that lived at the same barn where her horses were. The barn manager had gotten him a few years before, and now he was really getting bored and he was acting up. Barbara would come in the morning and tell me the next exploit that Gus had perpetrated on the farm. And it would be things like he'd break out of his paddock and break into the mare's paddock, and they'd all have a fun time. Or he'd break out of his stall or break away from, somebody who was leading him and run away, and he'd run up and down the aisle looking through all the brush boxes and feed boxes that are in front of everybody else's stall. And he would break them open if need be in order to get the treats inside. Apparently at one time he ran from stall to stall eating everybody else's grain. He just wreaked havoc whenever he could. Whenever he wanted to get out of the paddock, he knew he could get out. He could just break a board and he would do it. And also donkeys are more aggressive in a way. They're used as protection animals. So they can protect a herd of goats or sheep or llamas. And they are ferocious when they do. Apparently they will kill coyotes, they will kill bobcats, they'll kneel on them, bite them, knock them down, kick them, and just tear them apart and shake them. And all the horses will do is like run away, but the donkey's like, bring it on, I can probably beat you up. And that's a whole different approach to the world than a horse has. So I decided I would, come and meet him a couple times at this little farm in Saratoga. And he was a cute guy. I liked him, but I was working, so I didn't do anything more. So the minute I retired, I went and talked to Gus's owner and said, what do you think if I, clicker train this donkey to do some tricks, because it'll give him some entertainment, and maybe he won't behave so badly, and I won't have to hear these stories about him busting out and terrorizing the whole farm. And she said, oh, please. And right before I was about to retire, didn't I get this diagnosis of ovarian cancer? And I was packed with ovarian cancer. It was like stage, 4 or whatever, as it always is with ovarian. By the time they find it, it's just like all through you. So luckily, Skidmore let me not retire and helped me, still have insurance and everything. But that put everything on hold. I spent about 9 months going back and forth to Sloan Kettering and people in Albany, and I did chemo and I did surgery and I did chemo again, but came through it all great. Finished up the last couple of months at Skidmore, and then the minute I retired, I went and talked to the barn manager and said, what about working with Gus? And I started working with Gus almost right away that very fall, the minute I had time to do it. Started working with him 3 days a week. Last 3 years or so, and we just have this routine now. All I remember is that his owner told me, don't get hurt. So I said, okay, I will try not to get hurt. The only way to deal with the stubbornness is clicker training, because that is one of the great things about clicker training is it gives the animal so much agency, because it's the animal's decision to do this and get a treat or not do it. If you don't do it, nobody's going to beat him on the head. Nobody's going to say, oh, I'm so disappointed in you. You're a terrible animal. You know, there's no emotion in it at all. So it's not, oh, I love you, you did it right, and oh, I have to punish you, you did it wrong. It's just, here's your chance to get a treat. Do you want to or don't you? You can do it or not. And that's very much plays into Gus's whole outlook, which is, I want to be the one who decides. So clicker training involves a lot of waiting. Sometimes you ask them to do something, they don't do it, you just wait. And maybe eventually they'll do it. And that's often the case with Gus. The way I make the click, a lot of people do it with a finger clicker, those toy clickers, but the way I do it so I have nothing in my hand is just in the back of my tongue.
He's covered. It's the same thing with that.
First you show it to them. They're going to be curious. They're going to put their nose towards it. You give a click, and then you follow quickly with a treat. So the idea is the click says that instant when your nose touches a toy, that's what I like, and then I have time to give you a treat a second or two later. And it doesn't matter if the treat is a little bit later, because you've marked that behavior. Just it's any little quick thing you can do that will mark that instant of correct behavior, because you're marking every little instant to build up a great big chain of behavior. So you get the animal to touch the toy, then maybe you withhold the click just like a half a second and see if he'll nudge the toy. Click that. And then after he's nudging the toy pretty well, you can withhold the click just another half a second, and he might just get kind of frustrated enough because he knows he's supposed to get a click by this time. He's supposed to get a treat. And maybe he'll just get sort of annoyed enough that he'll open his mouth and wibble it a little bit. Then you click that, and pretty soon you've got him opening his mouth, picking it up in his mouth, bringing it to you, and you've got this whole fit. So I had never worked with a donkey, so I had no idea really what to think. I find that he is, I don't know if he's smarter, but he's more trainable than a dog or a horse. I've trained, 3 or 4 dogs and a little bit with, a couple of different horses. He is far and above faster, quicker, more eager. Fetching was so much easier for him. For a dog, for some reason, even though they carry sticks around all the time in their mouths, to get them on command to pick up a stick and bring it to you, it can be really hard. Gus got it, pretty quickly. He had a sort of a hard time in the beginning, and then the minute he got it, he got it. He's walking all over the arena bringing me that toy. So lots of other things, too, that he's done.
Now you need to
it was about a year, maybe a little more, that there was really kind of a door opened, or we made a little step where it was clear that he had affection for me and he was looking for me, and we had more of a partnership suddenly. It finally kind of gelled. And probably about that time, he learned the sound of my car. And as I pull up, I hear this like bagpipe, tuba, you know. Yep. And when I leave, he does the same thing, which is pitiful. I leave him in his stall. I got him all brushed up, and he's had his dinner, and he's all set. And I go, bye, Gus, and I get in my car. And I've made so many friends at Skidmore that have remained good friends. And that part has been great. They've all come out to see Gus because they've all heard about Gus, and now they're all Gus fans. So Gus has quite a little following around Saratoga now. And he loves his fans. He's very sociable. He loves an audience. And there'd be 4 or 5 or 6 people in the class, all, you know, sitting in the chairs at the end of the arena. And Gus walks in, he's like, oh, this is nice. Oh, there's an audience. This is great. And he goes and he visits them. He sees if they have any treats. And then he does his thing. And then maybe in the middle of the lesson, he'll go and visit them again. He loves his visitors. Yeah, I plan to work with Gus until I fall over. I mean, I don't think I have any plans to stop. You know, the nice thing is I'm not riding, it's not athletic. I can kind of stump around there, you know, until I'm pretty decrepit. And I hope I can just keep doing it forever. Donkeys live to be 40, often 50, and he's 18. So, you know, we know the math. He's going to outlive us. So it was just about a year ago that his owner actually took me aside and said, would you look after Gus, you know, if anything happened to her? And I was honored. And I said yes, because I know how fussy she is about good care for her animals. So our end game is, if she gets hit by a bus, I'll take Gus. And when we're both heading out of here, we're just going to have to find a sanctuary for him, and one of us will do the best we can for that. There is something in general about working with animals, soothing. It's got to be healing. I just figure it has to be healing. So later I did kind of make up my mind that it is helping, that it must be like keeping the cancer at bay or something. But I don't know. I'm not a big believer in those things. But it can't hurt. It definitely can't hurt. And I know it's, you know, the studies have shown it lowers your blood pressure and stuff like that. So sure, at least that much. It's got to be good. Yeah.